welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story that genuinely broke the internet this past week. Picture this. A solo artist. Not a legacy act with 50 years in the game. Not a group. Just one guy. Just went head to head with Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber in the numbers game of social media. And came out on top. Not in some niche category. Not biggest in Asia. The actual, honest-to-God, most talked about musician on X in all of 2026 so far. His name is Jeon Jungkook. You probably know him as the golden matinee of BTS. And the numbers behind this story are wild enough that even outlets that rarely touch K-pop coverage picked it up as one of the defining pop culture headlines of the year. So let's actually break this down. Where these numbers come from, what fueled this surge, how the internet reacted, and why, if you care at all about how global pop culture works right now, this moment matters. Let's get into it. Start with the raw numbers, because they're the whole reason this story exists. Between January and July of 2026, Jungkook racked up roughly 2.6 million mentions on X. That's the platform we all still mentally call Twitter, no matter what the app icon says. That's not a modest bump. That's millions of individual posts, replies, quote tweets, and trending moments, all carrying his name, in the span of about 7 months. Now, who's sitting in second place behind him? Michael Jackson. Yes. The actual king of pop. Gone since 2009. Still logged around 2.4 million mentions in that same window. Let that sink in for a second. A man who hasn't released new music in over 15 years is still nearly neck and neck with the most talked about artist alive today. Third place goes to Drake, with about 2.1 million mentions. Further down the list, Bad Bunny lands at number 5 with 1.7 million. Justin Bieber sits at number 6 with 1.5 million. And rounding out the top 10 are The Weeknd, Bruno Mars, and Harry Styles. So if you stack up the leaderboard, it reads, Jungkook out front with 2.6 million mentions, Michael Jackson right behind at 2.4 million, Drake at 2.1 million, then Bad Bunny and Bieber further down the pack. Worth flagging, some of the headlines floating around frame this specifically as Jungkook beating Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber, probably because those are the two most recognizable names to grab attention, even though the strict numerical bronze medal actually belongs to Drake. But the core fact holds no matter how you slice the framing. Jungkook is officially the most mentioned musician on X for 2026, ahead of a stacked list of legends and global superstars. This data reportedly comes from an analysis released by the World Music Awards, who regularly track large-scale social conversation data around musicians worldwide. Now here's the real question. Why did this happen? Why him? Why now? Because this kind of number doesn't come out of nowhere. There's a very clear moment that lit the fuse. Jungkook performed at the halftime show of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final in North America. Arguably the single biggest stage on the planet, watched by billions of people across every time zone, every language, every culture, all at once. The moment he stepped out onto that field, the internet exploded. In the immediate aftermath of that performance alone, he pulled in over 800,000 mentions on X, making him the single most talked about solo artist connected to the entire World Cup, beating out every other performer or artist tied to the tournament. Think about the scale of that for a second. This wasn't a solo concert. This wasn't an album drop. This was arguably the biggest sporting event on earth. And in the middle of that spectacle, one name dominated the conversation. But that's just one spike in a much longer story. Throughout 2026, Jungkook kept staying in the headlines for reason after reason. He became the face of a major global fragrance campaign for a luxury fashion house. And reports say the product sold out almost instantly after launch. On the streaming side, his track Standing Next to You reportedly crossed 1.5 billion streams on Spotify, while 7 passed 1.3 billion streams on YouTube Music. Numbers that are genuinely rare for a solo Asian artist to hit on Western-dominated platforms. Stack all of that together, a world stage performance, a luxury brand campaign, streaming milestones most artists never sniff, and you get a non-stop wave of attention that kept his name circulating in millions of feeds all year long. And here's the thing. This dominance wasn't confined to X. Instagram tells a similar story. One of his posts reportedly ranks among the most reposted posts in the platform's entire history. The very top spot still belongs to Lionel Messi, sitting around 2.6 million reposts. But Jungkook is right there in that same rarefied air, with some reports placing him in second, right alongside names like Taylor Swift in that same range. Even wilder, he reportedly holds 7 separate posts that have each individually crossed the 1 million repost mark, making him the individual with the most posts to ever hit that threshold. That's not a single viral moment. That's sustained, repeated, absurdly consistent engagement across dozens of posts. And TikTok? The hashtag Jungkook alone has pulled in roughly 400 billion views. 400 billion. That number is genuinely hard to wrap your head around. It's multiple times the entire population of Earth watching content tagged with one person's name. So when you put it all together, the mention count on X, the repost records on Instagram, the staggering view count on TikTok, you get the same picture from every angle. This isn't a guy who's popular on one platform. This is someone who's simultaneously dominating multiple social ecosystems at the same time. And that's exactly why so many outlets are running with the phrase global social media throne. Naturally, a story this big doesn't go unchallenged. ARMY, BTS's fanbase, is treating this as a genuinely historic milestone, proof that the group's global cultural weight, and Jungkook's individual pull specifically, has only kept growing even through group hiatus and solo eras. A lot of fans see this as validation not just for him personally, but for the entire K-pop industry. Solid proof that Asian artists can go toe-to-toe with, and in this case surpass, the Western icons who've dominated pop culture conversation for decades. But there's a more reflective thread running through the reactions too. Plenty of people aren't disputing Jungkook's win at all. They're marveling at the flip side of the story. That Michael Jackson, gone for over 15 years, is still sitting in second place with numbers that nearly match a living, actively promoting artist. One widely shared comment put it simply: even in 2026, the king of pop is still top 2, and that MJ number is basically timeless. That's the real emotional core of this story. Two completely different cultural forces, from two completely different eras, holding court in the exact same conversation at the exact same time. Some social media analysts have also pointed out that raw mention counts aren't a pure measure of positive sentiment. They can include criticism, debate, controversy, all mixed in together. Fair point. But regardless of the exact methodology, the sheer scale of how often his name came up all year is still a strong signal of just how large his cultural footprint has become. Zoom out for a second, because this matters beyond just being a fun headline. First, it's a real signal of a shift in the global music landscape. For decades, the conversation about who's the most culturally dominant musician was almost automatically a conversation about American and European artists. Now we're watching a Korean artist sit at the very top. Not in some best of Asian pop side category, but in the actual global leaderboard. Second, this is a case study in how modern digital fandoms operate. ARMY is famously one of the most organized, most active online fan communities on the planet. And when you combine that kind of built-in mobilization with a genuinely massive cultural moment, like a World Cup halftime show, you get a snowball effect that algorithms simply can't ignore. Third, it shows how blurry the line has gotten between music, sports, and pop culture generally. A World Cup halftime performance isn't just a music moment anymore. It's a cultural crossover event that pulls in football fans and music fans into the exact same spotlight. And Jungkook clearly capitalized on that intersection about as well as anyone could. And fourth, this is a pretty telling case study in how major global brands now view K-pop idols, not as a niche marketing play for Asian markets, but as legitimately valuable global assets worth serious campaign budgets. For anyone who isn't deeply familiar with him, a quick rewind helps explain how he got here. Jeon Jungkook debuted with BTS back in 2013 as the group's youngest member, earning the nickname Golden Maknae for being ridiculously well-rounded. Vocals, dance, production, all of it. Over more than a decade with BTS, he and the rest of the group helped push K-pop into the American and global mainstream in a way that felt genuinely impossible before they did it. When BTS entered their hiatus period to focus on solo work and mandatory military service, a lot of people wondered what would happen to their individual popularity. What actually happened was the opposite. The solo era became proof that each member could carry serious weight entirely on their own. Jungkook released a string of commercially massive solo tracks, including 7, which climbed high on the US Billboard Hot 100. A genuinely rare feat for a Korean solo artist. His solo catalog kept racking up huge streaming numbers throughout. After completing his military service, his return to public life was met with enormous excitement from fans worldwide. And that momentum appears to have carried straight through into the record-setting year we're talking about right now. So this beat Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber headline didn't just materialize out of thin air. It's the accumulated result of more than a decade of career building, colliding with exactly the right moment in 2026. It's worth spending a second on the other half of this story too. Michael Jackson himself. He wasn't just a singer, he's one of the single most influential figures in the history of modern music, the man who reshaped how music videos, live performance, and pop stardom itself functioned permanently. Albums like Thriller remain among the best-selling records of all time, decades after release. So the fact that his name still pulled 2.4 million mentions on X in 2026, more than 15 years after his death, is a powerful testament to just how permanent his legacy really is. That's not nostalgia. That's proof his work is still being discussed, analyzed, and celebrated by generations of people who never even got to see him perform live. And that actually makes Jungkook's achievement more interesting to sit with, not less. He surpassed the mention count of a legend whose cultural footprint is basically bedrock. It's not a knock on either of them. It's a snapshot of two completely different cultural forces, from two completely different eras, dominating the same digital conversation at the exact same time. There's almost a generational dialogue happening here. The generation that grew up on Michael Jackson's legacy, and the generation growing up alongside K-pop and BTS, both showing up in the same timeline. Proof that today's digital world has room to celebrate old legacy and new phenomenon side by side. So what's next for Jungkook, with momentum like this behind him? A full BTS reunion is one of the biggest things fans are watching for, especially as the members' hiatus and military service timelines edge closer to completion. And if that happens, it's reasonable to expect an even bigger wave of online conversation than what we're seeing now. On top of that, with his new status as a global ambassador for a major fashion house, he's likely to keep showing up in high-profile marketing campaigns that push his reach even further beyond the traditional K-pop fanbase. And on the music side, given how consistently his solo tracks keep setting streaming records, there's a real chance future releases could hit numbers just as big or bigger. Whatever happens next, this 2026 moment probably isn't the ceiling. It's likely just one major milestone in a career that's still very much climbing. So that's the full story behind the headline that broke the internet. Jungkook of BTS officially recorded the most mentions of any musician on X throughout 2026, surpassing legends like Michael Jackson and global superstars including Justin Bieber. From a world stage World Cup performance, to streaming records, to dominating Instagram and TikTok, to becoming the face of a major global luxury brand. All of it combined into one of the most historic moments of his solo career. And a pretty clear signal of how much K-pop continues to reshape the global music industry as a whole. What do you think? Does this earn him the king of global social media label everyone's throwing around, or is this the kind of spike that fades once the next big moment comes along? Drop your take in the comments, I genuinely want to read them. If you're into this kind of deep dive on pop culture and social media trends, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.